At iesmarion.org. Take a walk with me on September 1st. The person you will impact the most is you.
All right, thank you, Carla. 6 minutes after 9 o'clock, and this is the part of the morning on Fridays where Jim George usually comes in here. Jim is professor of the universe. Kevin, I don't know if you know. Do you know Jim?
I don't believe I do.
He is busy. He's an amazing guy. He is a technical guy. He knows technology.
I think I've met him.
Yeah, and so right now he's not here because he's helping the city of Ocala get their new data center set up, which is the old Wells Fargo, right, Robin?
Yes.
On the boulevard there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, did they take the main building plus the drive-through area? Because didn't they have...
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I think for right now, he just said the main building.
Yeah,
Because it has 2 floors, he said.
correct.
So the county.
It's one where you can park under the building.
Oh, I know what
Right,
you're saying.
exactly.
Yeah, they had a drive-through across the street. That's
street.
right. Did they have a tunnel that went to that?
I don't know. That'd be a cool question to ask.
A tunnel that goes under the boulevard.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow. I doubt it.
Oh, they had to get the money over there somehow.
Yeah, that's
Think about
right.
it.
You could cross the
You
street.
could walk. That would be a risk, but you could walk.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be a risk, wouldn't it? Yeah, how do you transfer money? Mm-hmm. Wow, maybe there is a tunnel.
There you go. I bet you're right.
I don't know.
Bet there was
I mean, they
a
could
tunnel.
have one of those, like a drive-through, the channel that you put your canister into that goes up through the tube into the bank.
Something
Maybe they have
larger
something
for
like
them.
that goes under the boulevard or somewhere.
There's a whole network of them that are not used in lower Manhattan in New York City. And the reason I know that is because my father was a policeman in headquarters.
But what were they previously used for?
I don't know. I don't know what they were used
I think
for.
it was the stock market.
Oh, is that right? Mm-hmm. But it goes under the streets. It's
Yes.
not just in the same building. It went all over.
All over.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Huh, I didn't know that. All right, we're going to talk. This is a fun topic, and I honestly, I am a big fan. Here's what I always say, Kevin. I always say, and I'm glad we're on the same page religion-wise because I believe in God, and that's basically it for me. But I always believe that there are 2 types of biographies.
Okay.
There are those where the writer, and the writer could be the person him or herself, so that would be an autobiography, but they either acknowledge God's existence for their accomplishments, or they think they are self-made. There's always those 2. They either say I went from rags to riches.
You either believe or you don't.
And they either include it in their book or they don't.
Yeah, it's that simple.
So if you went from rags to riches, you either say I went from rags to riches on my own. I did it all myself. Or you say I went from rags to riches and did it with the help of God. Mm-hmm. And all by myself includes your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your boss, whatever, right? Yeah, but sometimes. Anyway, so this is not biographies. Well, it is, but it's video biographies. We call them documentaries.
Yep. That's a category of the Student Media Festival, by the way, as you well know.
Yeah.
And those kids do amazing work. All right, so here we go. So I have some, and I don't know that I've seen any, and I don't know if you've seen any. So let's just go through these. These are the top 25 documentaries according to Tyler Coates.
Like of all time?
Yeah, according to him.
Okay.
Yeah. The Work. Have you seen or heard of The Work?
And not by title.
It came out in 2017. This is how it's described. Within the confines of the infamous Folsom Prison, Level 4 convicts, these are prisoners assigned to maximum security, meet for an intensive 3-day group therapy session that serves as part of their rehabilitation. It's there that arguably most intense moments of their stay takes place when the convicts reach deep inside themselves to revisit their past traumas and vulnerabilities that have played a role in their violent behavior. So it's kind of a look at,
Gosh.
Well, the only thing I can think of right now is Johnny Cash.
Because of the song.
County Prison.
That's right. And Folsom Prison Blues, right?
But you know that, you imagine, I can't imagine, first of all, being incarcerated in a facility like that. But 3-day detox, if you will, where you're talking about what you did wrong and what have you learned and what have you changed. And you thought what you did was bad, and the guy sitting next to you did even worse. That would be emotionally draining.
It would have to be, yeah.
But I wonder if Now, legally, they probably are stuck there. They're probably there forever.
Probably.
But I wonder if their life in their community, which is inside of a prison, I wonder if they become different after they kind of bare their souls, you know?
What is it they say about confession?
I don't know. What do they say?
Because confession makes the soul fonder or something like that. Do you feel better after you confess something?
Oh, confession is good for the soul.
There you go. That's it. Yes.
Well, have you ever watched videos on like near-death experiences?
I have.
Okay, so people die and they come back with these stories that they are standing in the presence of God or Jesus or the light or whatever,
Right.
and they're reviewing their lives. And they don't die because otherwise how
Right.
would we hear these stories? Okay.
Right.
But they come back with this real understanding of what they've done wrong, even though they all say God wasn't judgmental.
Right.
But I was judgmental to myself, is
Sure.
what they say. So I don't know.
Well, I think people who encounter those kinds of experiences come back with a greater sense of what life is about than what most of us
Yes, absolutely.
know.
Yes.
And so they're looking at it through a different lens now.
And I think greater faith. I think once you realize that, hey, there is a God and I really don't have anything to worry about, then I think your faith improves or increases.
Well, and the older we get, I think the stronger our faith becomes, and the more we rely on it simply because it's too hard to worry about things. At some point in your life, you just say, okay, God, this is it. It's in your hands now.
And I think people say thank you more when you get older
Absolutely.
to Jesus or to God.
Yeah.
There was one I remember I wanted to tell you about. It was just not that long ago. I told Robert about this. There was a guy who had one of those experiences. And of all the things he talked about, it was throwing a candy wrapper out the window of his car.
That bothered him the most?
Well, it's the only one he talked about.
Okay.
So he said God showed him the candy wrapper going out of the window, going down the gutter, and then eventually into a river with a bunch of other trash that other people had contributed. So he felt like he was being shown that we all contribute to the well-being or the
demise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good word. Yeah. So we all contribute to it. So.
Well, yeah, we all think we like to believe that our good deeds go noticed and that our bad things go unnoticed. But that's not true.
Right. Yes.
The person who throws the cigarette butt out the window may never see the fire that it starts.
Exactly.
To go back to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the
Very insightful.
just contributing to so I mean the reverse of that is when you have a fundraiser, for example, and let's say somebody's house burned down and somebody comes to you, we're taking up a collection for the Smith family.
Sure.
I only have $1. So, well, let me give you the $1. You don't realize that little dollar actually makes a big difference.
What if you give $1 and 300 other people give $1?
Yeah.
You give what you have at the time being. The Bible doesn't say that we have to give 100% of what we earn to God. He deserves it, but we're supposed to give a tithe, a tenth of it.
Right.
And even if we all tithed just our tithe, churches would never have to ask for money. You'd never hear a church ask for money if everyone in that church, take your favorite church, whatever church you go to, if everyone would just pay their tithe. For you, that's 10%. For me, that's 10%. That may be $300 for me and maybe $30 for you, but it's still a tenth. If everyone would pay their tithe, churches would be off the map. Man, they would be able to do anything they wanted for outreach and missions.
So you're really well paid, aren't you?
So.
300.
300 for Kevin.
300 is
$30
10% for you? Holy mackerel.
I just pulled that number out of the air. But,
Oh, man.
but I say that.
Is there a job opening over there?
I say that from 25 years in church work.
Oh, I know.
If
You are the guest at 11 o'clock, so we're going to talk to you about some of that.
Well, I do have a question then about tithes, since you
Okay.
brought that up, because I tithe to my church, but not 10%, because I give other money to other organizations, and then I add that all up together. Is that right?
To
or
make
am
that
I doing
10%?
Yeah, or am I doing that wrong?
This is only Kevin Christian's opinion
okay,
of
because
that.
I've always wondered.
I
how
believe
that
Christian.
is.
You're a Christian.
I have been a Christian all my life. I believe the Bible says you tithe a tenth to your church.
Oh, okay.
Then whatever above that you want to do, because here's how I look at it. What do you want God to bless you with? Do you want to be blessed on the 7% that you give to the church or the 10% that you give to the church?
Oh, so I'm doing it wrong then.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
But
for
that
me,
makes sense.
I tithe my 10% to the church, and then if I give to extra charities in the area, then that's above and beyond.
Oh, what do you think?
Well, the church isn't just the walls, nor is it just the people in those walls at 10 o'clock Sunday morning.
Correct.
The church is the entire human race. I mean, it could be. I mean, it should be.
Well, but the church is the church is no bigger and no better than the people who are in it. And so by tithing to that church, you help that church reach beyond its walls with missions programs, for instance, that go to other countries, or with teenage pregnancy homes, or whatever that ministry outreach is for that particular church. No church should just be the four walls. That's not what the Bible defines as the church.
But the church is the people in those walls.
Exactly, and the people who minister and reach out to the community.
So here's to argue with you a little bit.
Okay.
Because if Robin takes her money and she sends it to Biafra, we'll just pick a country at random because that was one years ago, remember?
Yeah.
Or to some organization,
Interfaith
feed the homeless.
or
Yeah.
something here
She is
in
part of
town.
the church. So whether she gives it directly to Interfaith or gives it to the church and then they give it to Interfaith, it's still part of her tithe. I think the 10% is complete. I don't think it's incomplete. I don't think she gave 7% in the church and 3% out of it. I think it's all part of the tithe. Because otherwise, then all of your taxes do the same thing. When the government says, "Here, this is for you," well, no, it's not. It comes from us. It's the same thing with the church. If you give your money to the church and then the church gives it to Interfaith,
but tithing is different than taxes.
No, I know. I used it as an example. So I confused you with that statement. If the church is the people in the church, and the people in the church give 10% of their money to do God's work, then it doesn't matter whether the person sends it directly. You said it was just you?
I think it does.
This is just me.
I think it does, yeah.
Really? So if you want to give to Interfaith, you don't count that as part of your tithe.
I think the tithe goes to the church.
But that is the church. You are the church.
Interfaith is, I don't want to pick on Interfaith.
No, I know.
You know, Interfaith is a nonprofit entity in our community, and we have dozens of them that are wonderful and do incredible things every day. But the church is the church where you go to when you want to worship, and when you're in the hospital, who's going to come see you? Is it Interfaith? Is it whatever that other nonprofit organization is? Is it, or is it your church? Who's going to reach out to you in your time of need? Is that going to be those other organizations, or is that going to be your church? That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to agree to disagree.
That's fine.
But I think the real answer is it's God.
It's giving.
Regardless. But who reaches out to you is God.
Well, absolutely. But God visits you in the hospital. But who else visits you in the hospital?
Right. But I think, okay, if we keep going on, we're going to get lost.
Well, that was just my question. I didn't mean to sidetrack, but I've always wondered about
I think it is
you're...
part of it because you are the church. You're just giving your money to the church to give it to somebody else versus giving the money to that other person first. Because maybe your church doesn't agree with you. Maybe your church doesn't think that that Rabbi Heck's thing is worth giving money to because they're a Jewish organization. Maybe Robin feels Rabbi Heck's thing is worth giving to, and so
Agreed. It's not that she can't give to them.
Right. Here we go.
Okay, moving on.
There's actually one of these in here that I wanted to bring up because I've actually seen part of it. Bill Cunningham, New York. The movie came out in 2010. Bill Cunningham was a notable figure in New York City until he died last year. Bill Cunningham spotting was almost as exciting as having your picture taken by him. He was a photographer. The New York Times columnist who documented how the city's residents expressed themselves through fashion in their own particular ways was a cheerful and ongoing presence in the city. I watched part of this. He was on a bicycle. He was taking pictures of everybody.
I saw that. I watched part of it. I think I watched the whole thing.
And he lived in like one of the museums. He didn't have an actual home. He had an office.
Oh, it wasn't the top of Radio City Music Hall? One of the offices there?
It was either
it in
there
the
or
museum?
Carnegie Hall. It was
Carnegie
I can't
Hall,
remember
that's
where
it.
he lived, but he lived in one of those places.
Carnegie Hall.
So have you ever heard of that one, Bill?
I haven't, but it sounds very intriguing.
He's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fascinating.
So he lived behind the camera, out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
But became famous because of what he took pictures of.
And he had filing cabinets full of photos. He's been around for decades, and it was such an intriguing documentary.
Is he the one who would write on the back of each photo who the person was,
don't
every
know.
single picture?
Oh, wow. I don't know.
I think so.
I seem to
him.
recall that detail.
Yeah, I think that was him.
I'm not sure if this is the guy that took that picture of the steel workers on the beam. during
Way up
lunch.
high.
Yeah. Yeah, he might have been that guy.
Yeah.
He was 80 years old when he died, so he might.
So he's more famous
For,
Being
After death.
unknown.
yeah.
than,
After
than
death,
while
yeah.
he was living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll find another one. Hoop Dreams came out in 1994. This Oscar-nominated feature from Steve James follows two boys in Chicago over the course of 8 years of their lives. William Gates and Arthur Agee are recruited from their inner-city high schools to attend the suburban St. Joseph High School in Westchester, Illinois, and play in its renowned basketball program. It depicts culture shock Gates and Agee experienced in the predominantly white high school to which the two boys commuted 90 minutes every day. A modern masterpiece of documentary filmmaking. So I'm guessing
I've heard of that.
I'm guessing
see
the
it?
two boys were
Hoops.
Hoop
Yeah.
Dreams.
Hoop Dreams. Yeah.
Hoop Dreams,
I've heard of that.
Here's one from 1998. Errol Morris's The Thin Blue Line.
Well, that was a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Is that
remember
not what it's
one.
talking about? Is that not the same movie?
I think so.
Let's see. It follows Randall Dale Adams, who at the age of 26 was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to the death penalty for the 1976 murder of a police officer in Dallas, Texas, a crime Adams did not commit.
Yeah, I think that,
Oh,
that
wow.
was the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing sometimes how we find out that people did not do what they're in jail for?
And they've been in jail for decades.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, we just discover overnight that they didn't do it because of DNA.
So, you know, that's that facial recognition thing we were talking about this
Yeah.
morning. That could happen with that.
Yeah.
When my father was ill,
But you would have to have more than just that. Like you said.
that's what I'm hoping.
You'd have to have more than just that.
I'm hoping
Because I could have a plastic surgeon make me look like somebody.
Yeah, you could.
or you could look. Have you ever
Or I
looked
could
up your
just naturally
doppelganger?
look like
Have you ever
somebody.
put in your face in the doppelganger search?
I have not. Doppelganger.
Is that what it's called, doppelganger?
yeah, the doppelganger search.
No?
I haven't.
I'll do it. when
I'm
you-
sure we will before the day's up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
I'll find your doppelganger. I don't know that I'm saying it right. It's a German word. It means double. It just
Yeah.
means you're double.
Yeah.
Mine lives in Chicago.
Really? That's a
Yeah.
great city to live in.
Yeah, it is nice.
So when my father was ill, he was in hospice at home, and nurses were coming to his home all the time, and I was there all the time. And one of the nurses said to me, "Oh, doctor, I didn't know you were on this case." And I said, "Who are you talking to?
Who you calling doctor?
Come on!" And now she's as close to me as I am to you. Talk, and I'm saying, "No, you got me mistaken for somebody else." "Oh, come on! You are him. I know you."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, "You're kidding me. He looks that much like me."
And he was right there in
Somewhere
your city.
in Citrus County. Oh, this was Beverly Hills, so in Citrus
Wow.
County. There's a guy who looks like me in Citrus County.
There's
Yeah,
been
we
a
were
Larry
there.
Whitler sighting.
That's right.
Now, this guy is a doctor, so clearly he makes more than me. I keep thinking I want to go pick up his check and cash it.
Let's not do that. Then we might
Well, I
read a
wasn't going
story.
to invite you to do it with
We
me.
might read a story about him tomorrow at 8:35.
Exactly.
I wasn't going to invite you. I was going to say, let's not do this. All right. Let me put Kevin Christian. Where's the doppelganger looks? Doppelganger. Ganger.
Well, you know, people always say you have a twin somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
let me find yours.
It's usually not the world. It's usually somewhere
Let me find
much
yours.
closer.
Close.
Let me find yours.
Yeah.
Okay, instant match. You ready? Let me find an image of you. I got to get your image on here first.
What if it's actually a picture of me? I'm my own twin.
That's right.
How do I do this? I got a picture of you. It's like, I'll get one off your Facebook page.
So what it's going to do, it's going to scan the picture and take measurements and all that kind of
And
stuff.
all that
Okay.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
So let me find you.
Oh, wait, do I need to stop and not move for some reason?
No. I'm gonna take a picture
Okay.
off your Facebook page. Where's your
Yes, because I'm such an avid Facebooker. Oh my gosh.
Well, there you are. There's the picture. Oh, that's too small. Let me find a bigger one. So, all right, I'll do this on the break.
Okay.
I'm distracted here. All
Okay.
right.
We need another story.
Another documentary.
All right, another documentary. All right. I'm trying to find one that's not crime related. Some of these. Oh. Okay. Steve Gleason. Do you know Steve Gleason?
Is that Jackie's brother?
They made a documentary on 2016 called Gleason. New Orleans Saint Steve Gleason achieved near holy status when he blocked a punt in a game against the Atlanta Falcons. The first the team played in their hometown after Hurricane Katrina. Years later, at the age of 34, Gleason was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS.
Oh.
Okay.
Direct Clay Tweel, maybe director, Clay Tweel followed Gleason and his wife, Michelle Ray Verisco, after they learned of Gleason's diagnosis and of Verisco's pregnancy with their son, Rivers. The result is a heartbreaking yet ultimately triumphant film about a man who symbolized for New Orleans' refusal to admit defeat.
Wow. Sounds like an amazing story. And it makes me think, gosh, it puts everything in perspective. We think we have issues and problems to deal with on a daily basis, and look at that family and what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
All right, one more.
Goodness.
Have time for one more. This is called Best Worst Thing That Ever Could Have Happened. Came out in 2016. Best worst
Have
thing
you
that
heard of
ever
that?
could have happened.
I have not.
Lonnie Price's dreams came true when he landed one of the lead roles in a brand new Stephen Sondheim musical directed by the composer's frequent collaborator Hal Prince. When Price and his fellow cast members, many teenage actors making their Broadway debuts, including future Seinfeld star Jason Alexander, opened Merrily We Roll Along in 1981, they expected it to be the first in a long line of career successes. The show, however, was a flop and a massive disappointment for Sondheim's fans and the show's cast. Years later, Price caught up with his fellow cast members to look back at the start of their careers in this touching examination of how life is full of peaks and valleys and how we learn the most about ourselves in the face of major setbacks.
So my response would be, maybe that show wasn't meant, those people weren't meant for that show.
Maybe.
It failed.
Yeah.
But that show was meant for those people.
Yeah.
And look, it put them on the map.
I would
Was
love
it
to see that.
was it part of your ambition when you were younger to do Broadway or that kind of thing?
I always wanted to be, you were talking about Marley Day. National Gnarly Day.
Gnarly
Not
Day.
Marley, Gnarly. I've always wanted to be able to like sing and dance on stage, but that's not me. You know, to be able to perform in some kind of musical like that, yeah. But that's not me.
Wow.
It'd be fun, but
That would be fun.
I would be so self-conscious. Yeah.
We
You
should do that.
You should do more
One for a
stage
day.
stuff, though. You seem
Maybe
natural for the
performing,
stage.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm used to being in control on stage.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And in a musical of that sense, you're not in control. Someone else is in control.
Have you ever seen the musical called, what was that one called, Newsies? Have you ever seen
Yeah.
Newsies?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so
Yeah,
good.
that's yeah.
That is so good. Is there anything on Broadway, I guess, right now that you'd like to see? Would you like to see Hamilton?
You know, I haven't heard comments about the musical portion of Hamilton.
Have you heard any of
The
it?
storyline, yeah.
Sounds
yeah.
like rap, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I've seen Wicked 4 times. I would see it again.
Oh.
The music is amazing in
Really?
that musical. And anything by Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know, that just lives on. And of course, anything by Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Because the music is always incredible.
All right, we will be right back. Thank you.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump tweets he did not know about his son Don Jr.'s meeting with Russians in June before the election, and that it sounds like his former attorney's making up stories.
Sources say Michael Cohen doesn't have any hard evidence, but that he is willing to tell special counsel Robert Mueller that then candidate Trump knew in advance Russians were coming to Trump Tower with promised dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland. What are believed to be the remains of 55 American servicemen are at a U.S. air base in South Korea, returned by the North Korean government.
Following an honors ceremony, the remains are to be flown to Hawaii for scientific testing and verification. The remains of about 5,300 Americans are believed to still be in North Korea. Kim Jong-un had promised President Trump to return the remains when the two met in Singapore in June.
Fox's Mike Cantor. Gross domestic product the second quarter of the year comes in at 4.1%. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Dad, what are you doing?
Cramming for college.
I'm the one going to college.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it all.
Discover Student Loans.
Discover does student loans?
Yeah, they're one of the top student loan lenders in the country. It takes 15 minutes or less to apply, and there are no fees for the life of the loan. Best of all, I can earn cash rewards if I get good grades.
Really?
Yeah, we still have time to apply and get a great rate.
So I can just chill. College kids still say that, right?
No one says that, Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because Lowe's is where pros find the hard-working tool brands they can rely on at the right price every day. Like Hitachi, the pro-preferred brand of pneumatic nailers. Come in today and you can save $40 on a Hitachi pneumatic roofing nailer. Now only $249. It's durable, lightweight, and easy to maneuver, making it a popular choice. So, pro, now that you know, start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 7/29 while supplies last. See store for details.